Well, I'm excited to bring our speakers together for a panel discussion that will also include Dr. Poushali Sengupta over there. She's going to represent the research side of things, who brings expertise in explainable AI and distributed machine learning from the University of Oslo. And I have to say, unfortunately, Professor Glad couldn't join us because actually she powered through her keynote because she's actually down with a cold. So we're very grateful that she even managed to join today. And she's passed the baton to Poushali.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
I'm not doctor yet.
On the path.
Half, you can say.
Fair.
Or maybe on the way. So I am a PhD student in fourth year, final year, in IFI. In those who don't know, the full form is Informatic Departments in University of Oslo. And I am doing a PhD in Trustworthy AI. It's a big umbrella field. If I take it as a break, it is like I'm expertise in data privacy, explainable AI, and fairness. And thank you so much for having me today. It was a very good opportunity for me as well. Long story short, what I have did in my bachelor's and master's, I have done my bachelor's and master's in India. I am originally from India, and I did my bachelor's and master's in statistics. And then I have done 1 year of research in NISER, which is a scientific and research institute in India. And there I have done some research experience on differential privacy, distributed learning, and this kind of stuff. And then I came here in Norway for a PhD in 2021. And I'm almost in my end of my PhD. And yeah, so I hope by next year, now I will be doctorate. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. All right, so earlier, a couple of you mentioned about women being in the algorithms and in the data, and I thought I would like to give everyone one very interesting example, because I was working on something with an AI chatbot, and I'm sorry that you can't see it so well, so I'm going to tell the story. Essentially, I copy-pasted the biography of a female data scientist, and I wanted it to summarize it for me in about 20 to 50 words. The answer that I got, essentially the chatbot assigned this woman a male name, Anders Christoffersen, who was nowhere mentioned in our previous chat or in the actual prompt. I was a bit shocked at first. I was like, where did you get the name Anders Christoffersen? I flicked through the previous messages. Maybe I've missed something. And the chatbot obviously said, I apologize for my error. And essentially, he continued just giving me the rundown of what this guy is up to. So I had to ask, can you help me understand why you use the male name, even though in the biography that I copy-pasted says that this data scientist was named as one of the women changing the field of AI. And that's with a paid subscription. So why does that happen? And I wonder if any of you have come across something similar. Obviously, we could see this as a funny, small error, but I guess you work with a lot more serious data, and I wanted to get your take on it. And I wanted to essentially see if there are things that AI teams can implement quite quickly to deal with something like that. Who would like to start? Rebecca, because you're closest to me.
Sure. I mean, I don't see this so much in what I work in, though I did read an article about the UN women, and they were saying that we tend to mirror reality into these algorithms. So I think a similar case was made that a chatbot was asked something, and it was even images, perhaps. And of course, you see women are falling into certain stereotypes and men in other stereotypes. And when you ask the chatbot why that's the case, they said that it's part of the embeddings. So it is embedded into the algorithms, and I think we just have to have maybe more representation, more awareness on this, and see how we can counteract this behavior. I wonder sometimes, because we have so many like male representation in the field for a lot of the products that we build, and we use a lot of user design theory. If there are other things that we're kind of embedding or missing out on if we don't have women in the discussions when we're building it. So it's just something that I wonder about, but I'm not sure that we have a solution yet. Maybe you do.
Yeah, I encountered a lot since I've been working more like with personalization and also personal data, personally identifiable data, and banking. There are so many also other examples of this. Goes back a couple of years, 2018, I believe, 2019, that we heard that a credit card application by Apple was rejected by a woman, but was given in the same household to the husband. Or it was Amazon using algorithms for screening, for example, CVs for hiring, and for some technical roles, the women CVs were automatically rejected. So there has been some, and also in the Nordic, and in Europe, in Netherlands, we had the case that some minorities, they've been suspected for some crimes without any reason. So the first thing is data, right? So this type of bias, because algorithms learn from data, so this type of bias could be inherent. If your data is biased, then the prediction model would do the same. But the difficult part is that you cannot just solve it by solving data. So one easy solution might be like, okay, we remove all gender from gender type of data from our data set, and then we run the algorithms again. And then you see that still there is bias, because by just removing the data points, still that, the patterns, the bias, it is still present. So even though you remove those data points, you don't solve the problem. From technical point of view, this has been researched, and probably you know much better because you're actively researching this. So adding noise to data and working on the data, also some algorithms, to have a blend of different algorithms, to have explainability in the algorithms so you can trace back all the way. If this is the result, this is the prediction, why this is the answer. It's a much simpler case here because large language models are basically like a huge calculator. It's all statistical, right? So the data that is trained with is mostly, associated with male as data scientists. But just saying that it's a very complex area. Bias and transparency and all these things can just creep in, as you said. Just sometimes we had cases that we managed to remove bias from data, from the algorithms, but then, the way we presented to the user, we created that bias without knowing, without being, fully aware of that. Or sometimes, even before you start with data and algorithms, just the way you design a system, a solution, you create that bias. So that's why, as you mentioned, it's important to have a diversified view, diversified team, but also be very mindful of that from the idea phase. It's like, it's so wrong, you build an AI solution and then you try to fix it for ethical issues. So you should have data ethicist or responsible AI representative in your team. You should have a way of working to always check for that stage by stage. You should have a governance system. If there is bias or problem, you need to raise it. So it's a very big topic, I would say.
Yeah. And I think that also taps a little bit into what you're researching, Poushali. I think explainability and ethics around it is important, not just because of society and it's the right way to approach it, but for businesses too. Because I've encountered something similar. It wasn't related to women. It was another prompt that I had done. and it gave me an answer that wasn't just factually right. And now this is the second time this is happening, and now I'm sort of ready to try another instrument. So actually explainability and trustworthiness is good for business, but even more for society in a way. Anything you want to add?
Yes, actually, explainability is actually very, very much important, I would say, because like when we work with data, we have many features, like what she told, that if even we omit the gender, that doesn't matter that we omit the, we are able to totally omit the gender, the biasness, because just think about the medical data. There are some kind of issues that's only women can have. And if you just remove the gender from the data, the features that having, like you have certain kind of issues, from that the model can know that the person is a woman, male or female, they can guess. So there are many features that is linked to each other. It is important to know which kind of work you are doing, the model which you are training, what kind of predictions they are doing, because then you get to know, like based on these predictions, which features is actually important. Like if you say, like if gender is not that much of important in this case, then why omitting gender? It's will be much more sensible to add some noise to the gender and maybe do some fixing with those features which are like much more important to contributing the result, I think. I have done work on the admission system in a college, and I wanted to omit the gender biasness there. And of course, like now, I'm not going to the much more complex scenarios of the gender, but in a simplicity, I took like their male and female. But what happened in that case is, like, it's not, when you are taking decisions about admissions, it's not only male and female things, it's also their background, how much they got support. They are from the rural area or the urban area, when they have, how much educations they have. Some other factors are always there to take decisions, to take a fair decisions. So that's also matter. It's not a very easy system. It is very complex. It is related in real life scenarios, especially. And yeah, so that's for that, I think we need to know more interdisciplinary subjects. So it's not about only computer science, it's about law, it's about psychology, actually what kind of people is the data that's used. Like for you, you said you want to be fair by gender. For me, I would say, like, I want to be fair by my qualifications. So it's also based on psychology. So there are a lot of complex things. Yeah. So when it comes to train a model and to have like perfect answer.
Yeah. Okay, then that leads into one of the questions here on this list. What unique perspectives do women bring to AI ethics that might otherwise be missed? And you can take it from AI ethics to building the data sets or running the teams, whatever, however you want to take the question. Now we're back to this.
I think this is an incredibly difficult question to answer, though when we're building these products, of course, whoever is building it is going to impact the way that the algorithms run and the processes that are around it. I feel when it comes to women and ethics, we have to have a voice in general, and we need to be involved in the journey, because otherwise we're going to be left out. And it's not enough just for male counterparts to assume that they understand what needs to be included. We need to have representation from both. Yeah, it's a very tough one.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's trying to crack that nut at the moment.
I fully agree with what you said. At the same time, I feel like it's a valid problem, right? But our approach towards solving this problem, is it important to have 50-50 representation of men and women in every team, every product development? Is that the problem we're trying to solve? Or to my point of view, the problem is that the little girl, Ingrid is not here with us. She was passionate about mathematics, and she got this grant, and that just fueled her passion. The opposite of that, if you are passionate about this, you have something, you have a gift to give to the world, but you don't want to try, you don't want to pursue this because of the standards, the norms we are creating.
Yeah.
That this is not for me, this is for boys. And I think that's the problem, because all of us, we are unique. Now, hopefully, AI is coming to take our jobs, so that's really good. Then we are left with what we have, which is our uniqueness, our talent, every single person. And that is the problem we need to solve. Like, how many girls, and I have a daughter, she's 15 years old. My daughter, if she's passionate about that, would she pursue this? Would she go on and give her gift to the world? Or would she think that, I don't want to be the only girl doing this? Because it's tough. It is really tough to be the minority all the time. So how can we solve that? How we can create like the opportunity for everybody to shine and be themselves?
That's a good question.
I think I will agree with her because especially in India, I mean, society plays a big role on this. Because I believe, like, when I was small and there are certain jobs and things that my mom or my relative used to say me, like, it's for boys, it's not for you. Even for the gaming or something, I was not that interested in that case. But that's not the case. Like, coding or computer science, that usually AI makes mistakes with boys, like it's always boys, it's not. So I think if we take for the solutions, what we can do, we can start from school. We can start from small innovations, like coding or hackathon, that we can just organize for women. We can, ladies, like we can say, like, the girls comes and it will be for your day. Just try it. If you like it, I think that can be the first step. And then you have to trust yourself. That's the most important thing. Work hard and trust yourself. Like, no journey is very smooth. Like, every journey you have to give your 100%. But the main thing is, like, you have to take some interest. You love your journey. You trust yourself. And then it will work. And the society could help is, like, by organizing many women events, encourage them more to attend. And it can be start from home. You say you have a daughter, and I know that you probably encourage her a lot about doing some stuffs. And I think it's all moms and parents, they can do it from home. They can ask them to do go for computer science, go for coding, and some other stuffs. Even they used to say before that it's for boys, then it started from home. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. I also think whether it has to do a little bit with perhaps cultures or countries. I'm Eastern European, and we have a lot of women, still not enough, but a lot of women in the STEM field. If you're good at maths, you're just sort of put on that path, and society and your teachers and family just supports you on that path. But for example, Norway, it needs more talent in STEM, and we need more women in STEM. You've given some answers, actually, of how we can attract more women in the field. I want to see if Mozhgan and Rebecca have some other ideas, because I've just realized we're all from abroad, actually.
Yeah.
And I guess that's more like what brought you to Norway. And obviously, you represent those fields. But yeah, like, what more could we be doing as a society here in Norway?
Oh, another incredibly difficult question. But so I did want to touch base on this culture aspect you also mentioned, and you were talking about society in India. We're in a a very interesting time, especially with American politics and the way that they are shifting kind of away from this protectionism and all of these rules and regulations when it comes to AI. And so I think what you're mentioning about culture is we are very fortunate in Norway that we have such a foundation of like care for people. Something that I was very surprised by and why I love living here. But that is such a fragile thing, and so we have to somehow continue to advocate for that to be something that persists in the culture. And it's not necessarily for having more women in STEM. This is more around like ethics and protections of AI in general. And so I'm not sure the right way to do that, but I think it just is in keeping us talking about it and being very vocal about the risks, because they say that big change doesn't happen over time. It's small chips away and all of a sudden it's gone. So that is kind of what I think is scary about the geopolitical sphere. But then back to your question on how to get more women in STEM, I think we need to really face this imposter syndrome that I personally struggle with it. Am I enough to be working in AI even though I work in AI? This is what I do. And I think that we just have to really talk openly with people about this stuff, and we need to make girls feel like there is a place for them, and they will feel that. But that doesn't mean that they don't belong there. It's just a part of being in a space where there's not that much representation, and that can happen for lots of different minority spaces. So I think that I reflect a lot on that, and I think that is something we need to speak more openly about and just be supportive of the fact that that is something we are experiencing. There's still space, though, for you.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you as well, more with you. It has to start from school. It's already late. We try to fix it, for the workforce. And Ingrid mentioned that they did absolutely, I know that universities are very mindful about that. They did their best, and out of, it was 12 PhD students, 2 were women. I did the same. For my first company, I said, this diversity, I'm gonna build this as a diversified team. I ended up having 12 employees, 1 woman, and we were a very international team, but at the end of the day, you want to get the job done, right? It's nice, to have a diversified team, but you check for candidates for their expertise and quality. So that's the thing. It has to start from the school by breaking down stereotypes. And this been, fortunately, this been talked about and worked about a lot, but stereotypes is not just this one single area. I mean, we can also say how many men working in kindergartens. That's also a problem. So it's equally the same problem, right? But it's not getting that much attention. So like kind of taking one step back and say that, how is our education system? Are we now in the world that they get all answers from ChatGPT? Are we creating humans that they can, be curious about themselves, what they want and their passion, and have the courage to pursue that? And are they resilient enough? If we look at our education system and what happens, in the world of technology, there is a gap, definitely. And I feel like, I, as an adult, I learned about this in a hard way. So, but it doesn't have to be hard, there is another way to be educated about that. Yeah. When I started my first company, I started learning to listen. Because I was coming from a technical background, I didn't have so much soft skills. I started to learn to listen. I started to, as a 32 years old woman, I started to learn empathy. And why we don't teach this at school, right? It's not just about physics and mathematics. So I feel like we need to look into education system, and we need to create a space for everybody to be themselves. And then in a way, we solve the problem.
Yeah.
because then people are in the right place they need to be.
All right, then one question about education, just out of my own curiosity. How do you see this panning out with AI? Do you see in the next, let's say, 10 to 20 years, some countries completely changing the way the education system works? So what we're talking about here, are we talking more about bringing in technology and ensuring that everyone has that technological literacy? Or are we talking about developing certain skills that are just inherently human skills but haven't been prioritized up to now in the education system, but that would be very important in the technical world that we currently live and will be living even more of? Random, big, but yeah, it's more of a feedback session. How do you envision education in this world of AI?
I think sometimes like conducting some lab visits, or maybe to some higher education, like some universities, a small day visit and tour, or maybe this kind of things can motivate, because I think the main things when you are young that works is motivations. That's and the interest. So before just feeding some skill and just go to involve with some courses and other things, because that's create pressures. At first, you have to look like if they are interested enough or not. I think that's the main thing is like if you can organize lab visits, if you can organize an open day where all, for school, where like, for example, the people like us who are PhDs or maybe who are doing masters, and they can come and they can motivate them, and they can send them small stuff that's okay, like for example robotics. And I know that those children are much more into like robots and toys, and that's actually helped them to grow interest. I think that's, you can start from there. And then if you think that they're really interested, then we have many setups, we have many groups that can organize courses free for them, or maybe we can take initiatives to give them some special training or something in school or high school. I think that works better, because I believe that before going to special skills or something that will give them a small of like pressure, they should be interested enough to join this kind of stuff first. They should be motivated enough. And for that, like, a small spark of showing something that's going on. That's maybe some movies, maybe some scientific movies, fictional movies. That's also helps. Like one day, some 2 hours for them, like in a month or in a 6 months in school, you can organize some movies. That's also cool. Maybe, yeah.
Fair. I like sort of sticking to the framework we already have, but sprinkling some extra sparkles in there and finding those particular interests and encourage them even more. I like that. Anyone with something more radical? I'm just playing devil's advocate, but I agree very much with what you're saying.
I don't know. I'm not so positive about the education system in general, no matter where in the world. I feel like this is a common theme. We are lacking behind. No matter which countries, differences, right? But like curiosity. Are we cultivating? I mean, we are looking at a new generation, the generation that they have attention span of 30 seconds, and they get bored and they get frustrated. If they get even like TikTok videos, they play double speed. So that's the reality. So this is they are different than us. And they are living in a world that information is available, accessible, answers available, and they don't necessarily have the patience. They are getting the opposite, that you need instant gratification. You know, you need to have the answer now. Are we cultivating, you know, like curiosity and resilience in them, in a way? Or are we like, you know, just bombarding them, you know, like memorize, you know, these topics. So so I don't know, and it's not easy, right? It's so easy to sit here and criticize the whole global education system, but at the same time we have technology. I mean, now even me, I can use AI, and I can convert the whole like subject, for example, geography or history, to animations. So why don't we do that? Why don't we convey information? Why don't we make this interactive? Why we still, feed them with information to sit and memorize and have exams? When this is super easy, then there is no cost. You can just feed information, you can upload a book, and you can get a movie, you can get an animation. I mean, like, I'm exaggerating a bit, but technology is here. We're not using technology for the sake of better education system, nowhere in the world. Okay. And it's super difficult. I mean, like, change. I know that fact. I have been in dialogue with universities for creating courses combining human consciousness and technology. Based on the book I have wrote, it is absolutely next to impossible to the system is so difficult to create something new. Yeah. And professors are frustrated that we cannot easily, change this, yeah. And we are behind. So there is no positive answer.
It's actually very big questions, I know. So I'm not expecting any particular answers. Rebecca, if you want to add to it.
I think coming from an industry perspective, I think maybe also a little bit of an American mentality. So forgive me. I think we have to, if you're in industry and you work backwards instead of from kind of the children's perspective, you think of what does the workforce need going forward? What competence will people actually need to know to do the jobs? What are the jobs? What are the jobs that society is going to have? And that's not entirely clear to me. How big of an impact this could be. There's, of course, no crystal ball. So it could be massive. And if that's the case, then, of course, the investment in the education is also important. It probably will lag because we don't do enough for schools. But that will shape what we teach people because we need to know what they need to know. And that's where the investment will go. And it's honestly not clear to me what that looks like going forward.
Fair. Very good points, though. I'd like to open it for the audience. Kustim, do we have a microphone? Okay, so anyone who wants to ask a question, I know we have a mix of researchers, of people working in industry and in the public sector. If you have a question specifically, for whether it's for Rebecca, Mozhgan, or Poushali, feel free just to say, I want to ask one of them, and we can roll. Anyone want to bring in? Yes.
Hello, my name is Heidi Benson. I work with Law and Ethics of AI, and I'm currently running for Vice Rector of the University of Oslo with Team Mersin. So today, thank you so much for your excellent talks. I've, of course, been listening in particular for measures that the university could implement to increase the number of women in AI. And I heard from Ingrid, of course, that there's the possibility of using student grants as a way of encouraging and making people feel seen. We heard from Rebecca the importance of mentoring and female role models. And then from Mozhgan, I particularly paid attention to one of your slides where it said, from mathematics to meaning. And that made me wonder if it's particularly important for women, perhaps, to know what the meaningful positive impact studying, for instance, mathematics can have for society. And I wonder then, how can we do that? And can we, for instance, tell people about that more, of course, but also perhaps think about internship so that people see what this can be used for, so that we could have students that could intern with Rebecca or Mozhgan, or we could perhaps stress entrepreneurship even more. So I'm wondering really what your ideas are for this, and also both the panel and the audience, which measures, like concrete institutional measures, would you like to see in place to increase the number of women in AI? Thanks.
Great question. who wants to tackle?
That's a great question, and thank you so much for your perspective. I think there's a lot we can do. First of all, we need, you had a great point, and that was imposter syndrome. And that's a big difference, and that's scientifically proven, that women are more prone to having imposter syndrome than men. And one easy way is to change the way we attract talents to job. Because the usual way is that we create a job application, and then we have this long list of skill set and expertise. And what happens, two exact similar candidates, man and woman, with the same skill set, with the same expertise, the man look at the job application, okay, 20%, I can do this, I go for it, right? But with a woman, if there is one skill set missing, oh, this is not for me, I'm not good for this. This is, we cannot change this. So we need just to be conscious and aware about this, and then have a different approach. For example, in my last job as a partner, when I started building the team, I said that this time I'm doing this differently. I'm hiring for mindset, I'm building for a skill set. So what I said that mindset is important because skill set we can learn. It's becoming easier and easier. I want people with a great mindset, and that's when you mentioned, from algorithm to meaning, and this is where we women shine, because somehow it is hard-coded in us about being mindful about impact because of so many reasons. Again, that's one approach. To start with that, have a different way of attracting talents. And, diversity is good, but it's always, we say diversity and inclusion. And there is a great saying that diversity is like everybody is invited to party, but inclusion is that everybody is asked to dance. So if you are in a party and you're completely ignored, that really help anything, right? So in our way of working, are we creating, that inclusive environment as well? And what you mentioned, great idea, be mindful about impact, show more of impact. What I noticed, there are so many amazing PhD students that they get graduated, and since they don't have a previous job experience, they kind of struggle landing their first job. At the same time, there are so many great small businesses that they are in need of some resources. They don't have necessarily, they cannot directly hire them. So why not creating an ecosystem that they come with a problem, they gain experience by doing some pro bono work, building a solution, they get confidence, and then in a way it's a win-win scenario, right? So there are so many great things we can do. We need to really throw away CVs. I hate CVs. Like I said in my last time that I was hiring, send me a short video. Don't send me 20 pages CV. Send me a short video and talk who you are and what you can offer. And so if we change this already, we create more environment for inclusion. And then some work in the school time so that actually, people cultivate that passion for more diversified work.
Yeah. We have time for one more question. Yes, unless I saw one hand in there. One.
My name is Katrina Hammerwall. I work at Microsoft. It's maybe not so much a question, but just reflecting on the whole field of STEM and the kind of work we do, how it's changing, and how AI is empowering us to work differently. So maybe the types of skills, sitting and programming and knowing how to debug programs is not maybe the thing you need to learn anymore. I mean, the goal is maybe to create and to be productive. And so I think it's interesting to see how AI can actually empower more diverse people to be creators and to be builders. And I really think it's interesting bringing this back to education, because I really think it has to start there and back to mentorship. So I think it's going to be a big challenge. How do we teach children, and especially girls, how to use these tools to learn to be creative and to be competitive in the job market in the future. So I think that's maybe more of the challenge that we have to look at.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your perspective on this. I think also, and that's my own personal opinion, we need to start thinking about the narrative as well. It's important to know the facts, like we know that women are underrepresented in the field of STEM and across other fields, but I think that this is not inspiring enough if we lead with that story. And one of the reasons why, as well, we wanted to encourage all of you on stage today to actually share the projects that you're working on was that just showing examples of super cool projects that women are leading in the field of AI, whether it's research and education or entrepreneurship or industry. And Women in AI in Norway are doing a lot of work around that. There are also a lot of other networks and groups around data science and in the STEM field. And it's a marathon. It's about sticking to it and also having events like that, not only when it's closer to the 8th of March as well. I think that's very important to maintain this throughout the year and to ensure that there's female representation across all sorts of different events. Well, thank you so much for being such a patient and engaged audience. And thank you so much for sharing your journeys and expertise with us today. If anyone's interested to be a mentor, please get in touch, whether with Rebecca, Mozhgan, or myself, or Poushali. Would love to plug you into the network and would love to, as well as part of NORA, to connect, if you're working in industry, to connect you with young researchers who can contribute to your businesses. And we would love to as well bring in industry more, collaborate more with education and research. We have the room until sort of 5:45, so you're more than welcome to still stick around, get some food and drinks and network some more, and we really need to leave at 6. But up till then, you're more than welcome to stick around. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.